upon, but also showcases the examiner how multifaceted a personality you yourself are. So that's one trick which always helped me.
Much has been taught about essay. Uh, I just want to add something. Uh, I'm the best person probably sitting here to tell what not to do in essay because, yes, because I have scored 78 marks this year. My other marks in other subjects saved me. So first thing is don't means beat around the bush. That is the first rule. Then second rule, as Athar sir has also mentioned, that if you do not know the topic, don't go for it. If you just know something about it and you think that you can add on and you can just write around 800, 900,000 words, then really don't go for that particular subject. And third thing, there are some myths going around this particular essay thing, that you can start with the story, or you can start with this and you can end up with this. My personal opinion is really don't go for it. What is your flavor of writing is that is the most important thing that you must understand on yourself. So yes.
I hope you all are noting down the advices that these people are sharing with you. Okay, my question is for Tina, ma'am. Can you elaborate on a specific question asked in the last year's mains 2015? How different would have been the achievement of Indian independence without Mahatma Gandhi?
I need to elaborate on this.
Yeah, just a little gist of what you would have written.
Uh, Repeat the question once more.
Sure. How different would have been the achievement of Indian independence without Mahatma Gandhi?
Well, if we look at the question, how different Indian independence would be if we did not have Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
So I believe to begin this question, I would first write upon how Indian independence has been because of Mahatma Gandhi, and then probably move on to the body and along with highlighting his individual achievements, the achievements which led to our independence, and try to substantiate how if he would not have been, how things would have taken a worse turn or how things would have taken a different turn. And then finally conclude, well, when I come to the conclusion and answer that it's because what we are today, it's because of the many contributions he made, the many positive changes he tried to bring about, and we should always cherish and respect that. So that's how I would frame an answer to this.
Anyone would like to add?
If you have to answer this question, use a multifaceted approach and you'll be able to do very good justice to this answer. You start off by saying that Indian independence movement had the contribution of a number of freedom fighters, but finally among them, the major contribution was made by Gandhi, who led most of the movement. And argue after that in each paragraph with this starting line that without Gandhiji, politically what would have happened? Without Gandhiji, what socio-culturally would have happened? Without Gandhiji, what the length of the independence would have been? What more riots would have happened? You could continue arguing only on the basis of this without Gandhiji, and change the dimensions. For example, on the political line, there would have been more divisions, there would have been more states, there would have been more riots. Without Gandhiji, what would have happened in social culture? Probably would have fragmented, or balkanization would have happened. We could add as a number of more points. Without Gandhiji, what would have happened on economic front to the Indian independence? Continue to add as many number dimensions you can add: political, socio-cultural, economical, technological, land reforms you could have had. But don't make this a answer of what is the philosophy of Gandhiji. Don't keep on writing Ahimsa Satyagraha in this format straight away. The question is different. Answer as per the question demand. Since it says without Gandhiji, you continue to argue without Gandhiji, politically this would have been different. Without Gandhiji, socio-culturally this would have been different. Don't make this that what all Gandhiji was aspiring for, what did he want it for. Naturally follow the flow of the question and you would answer it much, much better than what would have done earlier. Right?
Would you like to add something?
I did slightly, what I did was I actually divided this question into two, three parts. I first of all wrote, so there was a bit of an introduction, then what did Gandhiji bring in India's freedom movement? So these are the few points that I say, how he involved the masses, how he brought the satyagraha, how it gave legitimacy to the Indian freedom movement in global circles. So I mentioned some of the few points first. What are the main features that Gandhiji brought into the Indian freedom movement? Then I wrote the next part. Now, had Gandhiji not been there, how would Indian freedom movement would look like? So we were talking about the one first point was he involved the masses, for example. So I would say that the mass participation would have not been as much as it was. So it might have taken us longer time to mobilize people and throw a British out of country. So similarly, so different points. So based on the initially what I'm trying to say is that first I wrote what was the unique features that Gandhiji brought into the movement. I illustrated them in points. Then if Gandhiji had not been there, so I was trying to subtract those points from the freedom movement. So that was it. Then in the end, I also wrote that now the it was not only that it was not the case that had Gandhiji not been there and we could not have become independent. There was also a contribution of different other freedom fighters. You can mention them as well. So in that way, I try to conclude that yes, Gandhiji's contribution was remarkable, it was phenomenal, but at the same time, the contribution of other freedom fighters was also complementary to the process.
Thank you, sir.
Athar sir, this is for you. How did you sum up all these answers in that particular fixed space?
Uh, One thing is that I actually did not bother much about word limit. So I don't know about others, but I ended up writing. There was a 200-word answer. I think most of the questions I have written more than that. So this is I don't know how good it is, or I'm not advising you to do this. But yeah, if your writing speed is good, if you have done good practice beforehand, if you appeared in a lot of mock tests, then you automatically attune yourself that how will you make sure that you attempt all the questions. So attempting all questions is really important for these papers. See, in general studies, the time we have, it's not possible within that short span of time to write an excellent and extraordinary answer. You will end up writing an average answer in any case. So if you are missing some questions, if you're not attempting 2 or 3 questions from, you are out of race completely. So make sure that you develop this habit of managing time well in advance. Mock tests, they play a good role. You can do that at your home as well. Have a clock by your table and start writing a paper. You give 3 hours to yourself, and start doing papers. Make it a regular habit, maybe every once a week or every fortnight, or as per your convenience. So that was the main part. And then when it comes to conclusion, it actually varies from question to question. In some question you might conclude, as we try to do in this one. In some other question you might try to conclude with some suggestions. Say for example, there's a question on RTI. Say about weaknesses of RTI. You will discuss the weaknesses of RTI, but it's logical, when you're highlighting weaknesses of something, also to come up with some kind of suggestions. What can be done possibly to strengthen it. So it will depend. Conclusion, how you conclude, will vary from question to question. Many a times suggestions would be demanded. Many a times some critical aspect would be demanded. Many a times a comprehensive overview of whatever you have written may be demanded.
Thank you, sir. Sanjeev sir, would you like to add something to that?
As such, every point has been covered, nothing more about it. But yes, I had I been in your place, I would have asked the same thing to Athar sir. Means, how would you write all these points? Say, for example, Athar sir plus Tina ma'am plus Sandhu sir, the points you have given, and how would you comprehensively write all these points in 7.5 minutes, which you have, so as to address each and every question. If we can put some light on it, it would be favorable for the audience here. So I want you to put some light on it.
Well, I think like what Athar said right now, that a lot of practice, it takes a lot of practice to complete the question paper in time. And I personally, my own experience, when I gave my first mains mock test, out of 20 questions, I could only do 14. And I also remember our ethics paper, which was tediously very long and very difficult. And at my center, at least, I was the only person who had completed the paper. So this, I think it came with a lot of practice to put all points across. And I think it varies, of course, like sir had different points, I had different points, Jasmeet sir had different points. And I think at the end, it depends from individual to individual what point we give priority to and what we actually end up writing, because you're already under that pressure that within 7 minutes you have to write a good answer as per what you feel is important. So it also depends from person to person, I think.
Yes. One more thing I found especially in journal studies, when you read a question, try to actually break it down into simpler parts. For example, there was this first question we had in paper one about civilizational continuity in Indian civilization as compared to the Egyptian or Persian and other civilizations. Many people did not even understand the question what it was actually. What I did was say it was asking about, that there has been a continuity in the kind of in Indian civilization, okay, as compared to the one in Mesopotamia or in Persia, etc. So first of all, I just broke this question into three parts. First part, what is this continuity? What is the continuity that we are talking about? So you may talk it about from say a religious perspective. You can talk about it from a say historical perspective. Some two, three perspective, three, four, five, six perspectives which you can come up with. Number one. Now second, how this continuity is different, when in Indian civilization as compared to the other two civilizations. So here you make a contrast, how say this continuity exists here but the similar continuity does not exist there. So what you have done is you're simply, made broken down the question into parts and addressed it. Similarly, there was one more question. For example, it was on poverty and population. I don't recall the question exactly. It was about something like how population, how poverty, how population leads to poverty. So normally, if you look at this question, I just broke it down into three parts. Number one is, what is the correlation of poverty with population? How does poverty lead to more population? Before that, the first part was, how does more population lead to poverty? So you will address it from different angles. Then I try to add up the third one, that when we talk about population always, it's not always that population will lead to poverty. We can also, create an asset out of our population. That is what is our understanding today. We don't see our population as a burden. We see it as a big resource, big asset for our future. So I just broke it down into three parts. The first part, I try to address how will population be responsible for more poverty. The second one, how does poverty, lead to more of say overpopulation. And third one, how it need not be always the case that more population will lead to more poverty. So I try to build it in three ways. Now the third part was in the conclusion. So this part naturally included some of the suggestions, that, right, that a population need not be. So if we give proper skill, if we give proper education, if we look for youth development, if we look for quality education, then it need not be a burden. So in that way, I try to
Personally, I believe whenever we write a conclusion to an answer or even an essay, I think, of course, we need to show that we are practical people and we understand the weaknesses of the system or whatever. We understand the limitations. But however, I personally believe in conclusions, we should always portray ourselves as very positive people who believe that change is happening and change is possible. So, of course, being critical, while you're being critical, you are showing you're practical, but at the same time, you should not lose the positivity in the conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, my question is for Jasmeet, sir. Did you maintain self-notes for revision of optional subjects?
In any case, you're required to make notes for all the aspects of preparation, whether it's optional or GS, because revising again the lengthy books and the original text will be a bit taxing. And practically speaking, you would automatically understand things that you write down after understanding involves a number of more faculties. Maybe you're reading, you're writing, you're involving your brain also. So it's more involving, and you'll always remember the things that you write down in notes. So always take short notes for each and every subtopic of preparation, whether it's optional or GS, and automatically think that while you will not psychologically be motivated to remember, recall or revise a book, you'll be motivated to recall and revise just 10 pages of your notebook. That is the most important reason for taking notes.
Indu ma'am, would you like to add something to it?
Yes. Note making was a very essential part of my preparation for optional. I had medical science, and we do not have any help available for that optional subject. So, and this habit also helped me to get very good marks in optional, because of which I could get the rank. Notes need to be very short, precise, and in medical science I have an advantage that it's majorly technical. So I could prepare the notes in a format in the way I would be answering in the paper with diagrams and everything. And I actually revised it totally in the 10 days preceding the mains started. So that helped me a lot in retaining. So this is very essential, I think, for the technical subjects. In other subjects, especially humanities में and several others, इसमें concept building बहुत ज़्यादा necessary है. उसमें तो still you can go with your previous knowledge. But for options where you need to remember precisely, enumerate type questions होगा, उसके लिए especially you require note making so that you can flip through those pages. And that is very essential for your confidence as well because next day जब exam होगा, one day prior or few days prior, if you've read it, you will be very confident. Your mental stability regarding the preparation is more important. Optional last exam होता है, सबसे ज़्यादा प्रेशर उसी के अंदर होता है. उससे पहले हम लोग कर चुके होते हैं and exhaust भी हो चुके होते हैं. And this year, like we had Hindi paper preceding optional, so everyone was so tense. So in this regard, because of my notes, I was pretty confident, and it helped me take well. So please do that.
I would like to ponder upon this note-making process. When you are going through any of the, suppose you are going through a chapter, just underline the important words. We call it keywords. Keywords are the words from that particular paragraph which helps you to remember most important things from that paragraph, like the 2 lines before it and the 2 lines after it. So after in the first reading, you can underline these keywords. In the second reading, you can note down these keywords in a separate sheet paper. That will be the notes for you. Make that notes very colorful. You can use green, red pens, and then you can use some mind maps, some diagrams. So it can help you to remember the things in your actual exams, because it will have a pictorial memory in your mind. So it will help. It will be very easy for you to remember the things. Thank you.
Tina ma'am, this question is specially for you. What was your approach towards theory questions in GS4, that is ethics, integrity, and aptitude? And how did you handle the question where a quotation of moral thinker is given and the question asks to bring out what it means to you in the present tense?
Well, theoretical questions are somewhat easy because you need to memorize stuff and then reproduce it in the examination. The quotation question you asked, I think it was Gandhiji's quotation. I can't really recall the exact lines, but it was something to do. I think it was something to do with revenge and how I'm not really sure what. I can't recollect now.
I have two here if you want me to read them out.
Okay, you may.
The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And the second one was, we can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light.
So if we get a quotation like this, and especially when part of the question is, what does it mean to you? So I would personally begin by explaining what I really understood by the quotation. And then I would, if it's Gandhiji or whoever, I would probably elaborate on why and in what context that statement was made by that personality. And then I would finally link it to something I see in society in general, or India in general, or world in general about that statement. And that's how I'll try to convey what it means to me, how I see that thing happening around me. So that's usually the route I would take.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jasmeet, sir, my question is for you. Explain in detail your interview experience.
I have given 4 interviews and 4 interviews. And, so
The recent one.
my interview experience is both positive and negative. And DG sir, Ajawal sir is there, and he is personally, I have always interacted with him and known what all points to look for. But the last interview, I did get through some important points, and these are the things that you must remember. Please be honest, please be humble. Very two crucial qualities. If you are not honest, the board will soon catch you. And when they catch you, whatsoever you might do in your mains, pretty much sure you'll either not land in the list or you land in some place that you'll have to appear again. And don't at all in any case bluff. Be proud of your background. It doesn't matter whether you study in the roadside engineering institution or whether you're studying in IITs, be proud of your background. There's nothing to be ashamed of your background. Everything is excellent, provided you have studied there, gone there, studied 4 years well. You need to be proud of your past and cultural heritage. You need not be any way talked down by it. Thirdly, be humble. Mostly people who are asking who are the members in the interview panel will be very senior, very experienced. They are looking at it as a test of personality and not necessarily a test of knowledge. And while you are answering questions, you will not know answers to some of those questions. Be humble enough to tell them that I have come across this, but I can't recall the relevant facts here. They'll always positively accept it. They'll give you the answer back. Maintain that honesty and tell them, thank you so much, sir. And ensure that out of 25 minutes, they speak the most. That you speak as much less as possible. That's the best. Let them talk, let them give their experience. It will be very enriching for you to take their experience. And don't join in laughing along with them. Don't ever point out any wrong fact if they point out in the interview panel, because you automatically understand if you were to point out any senior person that this is wrong in your life, you automatically end up with low marks. You might be factually incorrect, but you might have heard somewhere in just reporting the fact. That is not crucial. Don't be arrogant. That no, sir, you are wrong here. Once you do that, you're pretty much sure that you will land up with good interview marks. Another crucial section is your hobbies. If you don't have a hobby, don't write a hobby. I've never written a hobby. In the last interview only, I wrote one hobby. And since I've interacted with Agarwal sir, then only after thinking a lot, I written one hobby. And if you write gardening as a hobby, sir has personally taken people to the gardens and asked what all plants these are. And and you understand if you bluff, you'll be caught. And believe me, they'll reward you with 70 or 80 marks out of 75. You might speak anything, you might be most educated, you might be from IITs, IIM, MIT, or whatsoever institution you might belong to. You land on 70 or 80 marks. Another point, you don't need excellent academic educational background. It doesn't matter. Rather, if you are from an excellent academic educational background, you are on a disadvantage. They expect better answers from you. They expect more better answers from you. And don't in any way think that women candidates are likely to get more marks. If they are likely to get, let them get. It doesn't matter to you. You won't transform to a woman and get more marks then. Let them get more marks. If you are from urban background, be proud of it. It doesn't matter. You need not be born in villages to understand villages problems. You can understand the problem of villages even from urban areas. It's not as if urban areas are not connected with the rural areas at all. You can read books, you can come to know them problems. You need not go and watch a village to know villages problems. You would know by reading honestly about most of your books. And maintain that composure. Well, if you do not know questions, to be honest enough and tell them, okay, sir, I don't know this fact, I don't recall this relevant fact. But as I said, never ever make any wrong fact or make any unnecessary thing to show off to get more marks. Rather, you will be caught and they'll be unnecessarily penalizing you. The things that are very crucial in your interview are your options, hobbies, are your graduation area, and your personality related factors. I mean, why do you want to become an IAS officer? Please don't say you are motivated to serve motherland India. Even if you are, interview panel finds it a bit hard to digest. You are solely motivated by this factor. So you will not get marks in that regard. You can say it's your parents' team, you can say you are inspired by certain events in your life. That's okay, that's more palatable. Most importantly, you need to understand we are beggars looking for marks. You need not think that we have to be unnecessarily showing off. You need to only tell what is truth, honest, and humbly enough. And if you do that, your 170 marks are assured. 170 marks out of 275 marks are assured. The more you try to be arrogant, more you try to tell them, the lesser you score. Speak less, you gain more marks. That's my
Thank you, Jasmeet sir. Well, I have to make an announcement. Jasmeet sir has to catch a flight, so he'll be taking our leave. But sir, before you leave, I have two questions from the audience. Sir, what must be the basic approach about civil services before preparation? This question is from Rohan RB. He's a student of MIT.
Regarding the approach to clear the exam, you need to understand that there are different three stages. Um, the first two stages are more about your knowledge and intellectual preparation. The last stage is more of, as I told you, of interview preparation. I just discussed most of the facts related to it. And knowledge preparation would require you to be humble and honest. Again, I'm telling you, humility and humbleness will take you everywhere. You will don't listen to my answers since I've achieved rank 8. You can learn from anyone. You can learn from any person walking on the common street as well. They have immense knowledge. You can always gain from them. And that is what you should always remember, that you will always gain everywhere, knowledge. Be positive. For example, you'll get failures in your life. As I told earlier, also this is a social exam. Everyone is bothered कि फलाना फलाने का लड़का पास हुआ या नहीं हुआ है. You will not continue to get these remarks. या फिर फेल हो गए हो, या आप अंकल बन गए हो. ये remarks आपको मिलते रहेंगे. Take them in positive light. Most of the people who criticize you are themselves not doing an exam. Don't worry. Don't worry. People who comment on the sitting on the fence, they are meant to comment. You are meant to do a job. It's your dharma to study and clear this exam. Make it a dharma. In case obstacles and hurdles, maintain a positive attitude. Please don't land up in the final.
So I have one more question for you. What habits a civil service aspirant must develop?
Normally, I don't like to answer this type of question because these habits are known. And if I say you need to develop modesty, it's making fun of modesty itself because these things should come automatically to you. Hard work in nature, modesty, humility, humbleness. You should be a person who people want to come to and talk to. You should not be a person people just want to say he's an IAS officer, but I don't want to talk to him because he's arrogant, he doesn't listen to me, or he is difficult to come across and talk to. So the habit that you need to develop is, this perseverance, clear the examination, maintain a positive attitude throughout your life, humbleness and humility to always, lean forward and continue to learn every day. And remember your sacrifices that parents have made and all your teachers have made, without whom you will never ever land up in any place because we do disregard many of those factors which are taken by us as granted. Think of those persons who don't have parental support. Think of those persons who do not have financial support. Think of those persons who do not have marital support. And you'll automatically understand how blessed we are. We need not repeat all those factors, but we are all indeed privileged, as I am privileged to talk to you on this platform.
Thank you, sir. It was really helpful, I guess. It was really a great pleasure to have you, sir, with us.
Athesa, this is for you. Interview is a very important part of UPSC. So is a person's appearance. So what, according to you, is the right attire for an interview? The mic.
Now, I think you should look nice. That's what I think. You don't need to you don't need to like buy some branded high-end suit or something and go. If you're wearing a nice clean pant and a shirt and a clean well polished shoes, that should be fine, and you can wear a tie if you're comfortable in it. And so I don't think per se it's a major part of the whole process, but I think you should look nice because it's a very important occasion. Okay, you should the way you go there should reflect the kind of importance you give it to the members, you give to the chairman as well as to the interview. Okay, we all have been working hard for 1 year, 2 year, or even 3 years finally to get that one opportunity to be there. But at the same time, you don't have to be totally unnatural. If somebody might tell you that you should wear a coat and you might feel very much uncomfortable it normally, if you're not comfortable, there's no need to wear it. But it should be neat, clean, and nice dress. That's what I think. And she may
I think what we really need is to, to have a neat appearance. And you have to be comfortable in what you wear. For instance, when it comes to women, when we dress up for interview, we have two options. Either we need to wear a sari or a salwar kameez. And personally, I did not wear sari during my school, college, so I was not used to it. And I did not wear a sari during my interview because if you're not comfortable in what you're wearing, how will you, and you're already under so much pressure, how would you interact and how would you express yourself freely? So along with dressing well and dressing neatly, you also need to be very comfortable in what you're wearing.
Shruti
Anyone
ma'am.
wants to add anything?
And I just one more thing. I actually observed last year. In the UPSC, there's this waiting hall, in the center, and on the two sides of it, there are two wings in which different, different chairmen of different boards they sit. So they make all of us, wait in that hall, and one by one we are called into the offices. I observed there was one person, and when his turn came, he got up and he took deodorant from his bag and everyone was like, what's going on? I don't think that's required. This is so, similarly, I also found one more person. He was wearing a brown colored check, some shirt with a lot of flowers on it. So I'm not saying that this is something. I'm not trying to disrespect or something. What I'm saying is, my thing, in my opinion, this is a very serious occasion. It's a very important occasion, and we should give due importance to the place, due importance to the board.
And beauty really lies in the simplicity. So dress simply, dress formally, and be comfortable in what you're wearing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I think this question is for all of you. How would you describe your personality before UPSC preparation and after UPSC examination? So I think we should.
Before preparation and after preparation, I would say I am more composed, more calm, more sensitive. In these three aspects, I would say there are many aspects because UPSC journey is a 6 year journey for me. That's why I learned a lot in that particular journey. And Akshay Patil, my friend, has started one blog. Name? Kharokhar. In that blog, we are asked to share learn what we learned from the UPSC. Soon we will be adding some points over there too. But these three things I would think that UPSC taught me.
UPSC has taught me a lot of things. As in, frankly speaking, before appearing for the exam, I didn't know how a president is elected or the prime minister is elected. As in, I didn't know even if he was selected or elected. So the first thing was the common knowledge that a person needs to have, an Indian citizen needs to have. You get that knowledge. Secondly, the way you see the society, the way you see the government, it really changes. As in, I personally being in the Indian Police Service, before joining the service, there was a different kind of set of mind which I had applied while looking towards the police officers. And now being in the service, I know what hardships they go through. And similarly for other government servants. And lastly, I know what my rights are. I know how the work needs to get to be done. So for example, just yesterday I traveled by the PMPL, the city bus service in Pune. So immediately when I started traveling, there were few issues in the bus which got to me, and then I thought, how do I rectify them? How do a common man would go on to rectify them? So I started searching the numbers. कि ये number है, SMS कहाँ से करना है? So then the first issue was the number which was written, it was half written. Secondly, the numbers which were written, which were purely in English, no Marathi or Hindi translations. So this is where you start to, as in, this is the way wherein you see the society from now onwards. So I think UPSC has changed a lot in us, hopefully a positive change, I hope so. So I think, yes, UPSC studies should be there at the university level and also at the college level.
I would like to mention one short example. When I started preparing for the UPSC, I attended one classes, and then they started with that. In 1991, we had started with LPG. I was so confused that in 1991, which type of gas cylinder was coming? That what LPG does it mean? I was I, I was not knowing about liberalization, privatization, and globalization. And after starting from that, coming up to at this level, it was a very beautiful process, I can say. Just love the process. You are studying to know your country's history, geography, culture, polity, economy. So it's a very enriching energy. Day by day you are getting enlightening. So that's why study to develop your own personality, and not to merely just qualify for the exam, or how can you get past from it. So enjoy the process, and it will surely bring some good fruits to you. Thank you.
For me, like Jasmeet sir, my life had been like as if I was in a tunnel. Till 10th, my whole ambition was to be rank one in my class, which I seldom did. Then in 12th, there came the whole gamut of all exams. Then JEE. So fortunately, I cleared. But in IIT again, ranking in class and CGPA and all that. And then finally in the last year, about getting the highest paid job. So all that happened, and then I did get the job and I worked, and then suddenly you emerge out of the tunnel, and then you realize that there is a whole big world. You know, you're not in the safety of your parents and all these mechanisms that protect you all the while. And then you feel that there are a lot of questions, and all this while you have been just sitting on an armchair and then raising these questions. And then you don't have any answers, and many of us don't have answers. But slowly you realize that many things that hold value in eyes of many other people will suddenly crash to the ground, like money or glamour, or all the typical sense of enjoyments that we have in our years in college. Everything comes to a stop, and then you realize that no, this is not sustainable. ऐसा कब तक मजा मारोगे? तो and end of the time you realize no, you have to settle down, and now that'll be the reality check. And that happened me for after 2 years that I worked in a private company. I earned a lot, but then the working hours were also taxing. And then I realized that working is not very difficult. You can be a high-end achiever, but if you have to get work done from someone else, that is where the test of leadership comes. So after that, I realized, okay, now I need to take a chance and prepare for civil services. And this process also then gave me those answers. I was full of questions, and slowly, all these questions started melting down. And I found out where I can find more answers, come to peace with myself, and all these distressing ideas that people discuss. And you become more composed. पहले तो बहुत चिढ़ते हैं घर पे कि यार ये नहीं मिल रहा है मुझे, वो नहीं मिल रहा है. And then you realize, okay, जो अभी मिल रहा है तुम्हें वो क्यों मिल रहा है? And then you start thinking about मैं किसी को क्या दिला सकता हूँ, right? So this is the biggest change that happened to me in 2 years. And I'm glad that I prepared for civil services. I would have gladly, my plan B was this: go back to oil field any day. Sadly, that door was closing as the oil prices had been falling. But fortunately, I got into civil services, and I want to continue with the motive that I have in mind. Thanks.
Very similar to as sir has mentioned, I got extremely good package after my completion of engineering, but I decided to opt for civil services. And before I started my preparation, I could go with my friends for the weekend parties in my college days, etc. But as I started my preparation, I cannot go with them, and I'm happy about it. I have no regrets, because I don't think that going for weekend parties, the enjoyment I used to find in earlier days, I cannot find it now. Because I don't think that spending too much money just for some huge parties, I don't think that. So that is the important change. The second thing I will say, that earlier I used to, if I see anything wrong, say while going on the road, I used to curse the government. Now I used to think about the suggestions or solutions for that. So that is, I think, another very important thing I personally think. And one more important point I will like to mention is about my opinions. Earlier I was extremely means my opinions were either on this extreme or that extreme regarding means about many of the issues, means in many of my friends will share this particular feeling that in the school days we do not carry the good opinions about Gandhiji, do we? Yes, but and many such things. Not I just mentioned one thing like our neighbor Pakistan. So we have much radical opinions about many of the issues. But as I am continuing with the process now, I am of the I think is of rational and much more objective opinion. So I think these are the some changes I found.
For me, it did not take the spice out of my life. But I mean, like, I found the whole process very much transformational. He was rightly in pointing out, that I think this examination has this unique quality. Unlike say preparing for IIMs or preparing for GRE or GMAT or whatever the examination, this examination gives this actually this opportunity to transform your own perspectives and your own way of thinking. For example, when you are reading newspapers, when you read about different social issues, you may come across say gender issues, you come across caste-based issues, you come across the kind of inequities that our country has, you come across the kind of the troubles and the challenges that we all face. And when you're reading about these challenges, in depth from one dimension to other dimension, they somehow ingrain this thing in your mind that you become more sensitive towards them. So when you're reading about women rights issues, it's not only for the purpose of getting fetching marks in the examination, but also in transforming your mentality that tomorrow at your home, at your workplace, and wherever you are, you don't behave as a misogynist, you don't behave as you have somebody following that patriarchal mindset. You instead, you believe in the gender equality in the true sense. You understand that even if you're on a road, you may be on a bus, you have your limitations, you have your boundaries that you cannot cross. So on one side, it was this, that you actually improve on those perspectives and the kind of worldview that you develop. At the same time, it also makes you more informed and well informed about the things. Say, as most of them did also point out, that in school days we used to have so a lot of biases, a lot of these things about this and that thing. But now, after 2 years or 1 year of reading about international issues, you come to know, okay, what are the major issues that the world is facing, how our country is doing, how our economy is doing, how each one of us can be a good contributor to the society. So I think, keeping aside the examination point of view, the process also helps you become a better and more productive citizen.
I think I agree with everyone. And uh, apart from your knowledge base growing, you grow as an individual. You become very mature. You suddenly have opinions on everything which is happening around you. You transform into a responsible citizen. You not only criticize the government, at the same time you start looking for solutions. So it's a growing experience as well, apart from just mugging up. More than that, of course, the basic things which happen to you, suddenly become very disciplined, you suddenly become very sincere, very dedicated. But I think two things which really UPSC teaches you: first, how to be patient. This exam is so long, it takes so much time, it really teaches you patience. It tests your patience to the limits. Second, it teaches you how to sacrifice. Like any aspirant over here, each one of us here, we have sacrificed something or the other when we prepare for this examination. So it teaches you how to sacrifice and the value of sacrifice. So those are two takeaways for me.
I would say the biggest thing that I have acquired in the UPSC journey is I have become a better informed citizen of this country. And I think that is the most essential aspect to become an IAS. So this has been the biggest contribution. Also, success is enjoyable. All of us are enjoying it, but it's the journey. The UPSC journey has been such a wonderful process, and that has been enjoyed. The exam pattern is such that that itself is very much enjoyable. And credit goes to UPSC and people like Sir who have strike a conversation with anyone after studying for UPSC examinations because you know something about everything that is happening around us. So that also, and your personality grows so well. So all in all, it's a very beautiful thing. Like getting into the service is a motive, but even if you don't get through, even then you improve as a person so much that it will definitely help you somewhere or the other in your life.
Speaking in reality or in true sense, I do not notice any change in myself pre-selection and post-selection because there hasn't been anything special that UPSC has taught me. Yeah, the information base has certainly increased, and as Madam said that we've become more informed citizens. But my grooming has been very good. My mother and father both are professors. Mom is a political science professor, and father is a finance professor. So since childhood and because of my education also, there has been a good level of grooming or amount of grooming. But yeah, two things. One is the knowledge base, and second is the calmness that I've acquired through this process. But in reality, I did not enjoy the UPSC process because it was a very painful process of 4 years. And I'm very sorry, sir, but this is the yeah, so certainly speaking, it was a very lengthy process to get up in the morning and open the same books again and again for 4 years. Uh, and I did not change the optional subject also. Many of the people they do change their optional subject also. यार पढ़ा difficult है political science ले लेते हैं. तो मैं वही subject को चिपका रहा and studied the same subject. So, but yeah, overall knowledge base and calmness has increased. Thank you.
Not much to add anything. A couple of things. The process has been much more enjoyable and much more enriching than the final result. For me personally, it has been a myth buster. For example, I always felt that talent will take you anywhere and hard work will not matter too much beyond a certain extent. But later, while being into the process and after getting selected, it does dawn upon me that hard work will overtake talent when talent doesn't work hard. So that I personally felt, यार कब तक करोगे, क्या करोगे? As Jitesh said, many of us at a substantial point of time in our life, we feel disillusioned or we do not come to know what we actually have to do. Just like a fish goes on trampling in water here and there, we keep on testing waters. Okay, this BA, okay, then BCom, okay, people are going in engineering, let's go with it. Now, I personally feel I have been an engineering student, but much more beyond that Ohm's law in V by I equal to R in engineering, I did not learn much more beyond that. Had I done my humanities studies because I was good in history and geography till my 10th standard, had I done BA in history or BA in geography, it would have been much more fruitful have I had wanted to be a finally civil servant. So taking those decisions rationally, not following a herd mentality, which we keep on following till a substantial part of our life, and then it dawned upon us, ki, okay, now it is done, it is totally against us, and we finally take a call. So that was my watershed point beyond taking UPSC. And once I finally succeeded, it was just like what Shah Faisal had said in 2012 when he became a topper in first attempt, just like Tina ma'am did. Be inspired by your unfulfilled dreams. I appeal to all of you, if not civil services, anything else, but be always inspired by your unfulfilled dreams. Okay, thank you.
Many of the facets has been said by my fellow batchmates. So I don't want to add more, but I just want to say UPSC has taught me the importance of perseverance. It has also taught me the importance of accepting my mistakes and improving upon my lacunas each and every attempt. So that's what, and it also helped me to have an optimistic attitude. If I was very sad by my failure, I wouldn't have ever appeared again for the next attempt. So that's what I would say. Like, be always optimistic, positive, and work hard towards your dream. That's it. Thank you.
I think it is rightly said. Okay, now my question is for Rohan sir, since he had the most stressful journey while preparing for Civil services.
Not stressful, but I did not enjoy it. The
Yeah.
difference is this.
No, actually, yes, that you did not enjoy much. So that it must have caused a lot of stress to you, that not enjoying the journey and everything. So how did you treat yourself? Did you go out for movies, or did you listen to music, or did you used to go on dates with your special ones or one? I am
For
quoting
the
ones
first
or one.
2 years, I have been going on dates with my special ones, but not after that. I realized that studies are important and the special ones can. And I had been to a program recently, and a guy came on the stage after the program was over, और उसने एक बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा मुझसे कि सर मैं यूपीएससी और गर्लफ्रेंड को एक साथ हैंडल कर सकता हूँ क्या? तो ऐसे सवालों का मैं जवाब अक्सर देता नहीं, क्योंकि किसी का रिलेशन तोड़ने में मुझे मजा तो नहीं आएगा, वो पाप भी नहीं देना चाहता हूँ खुद में. But yeah, you should enjoy with the special ones also and prepare. But preparation for at least 10 hours a day is very, very important. Breaks are required in between. Just as I said, that 6 days I used to study, one day there used to be a break to relax and go for movies or watch movies at my place. But this much of study is required. I mean, people are there who say that 3-4 घंटे में पढ़ाई हो जाती है. I study for 3-4 hours a day. But I think that's not possible. And this exam requires a detailed analysis of each and every aspect. And after that, you can score good marks. So I think this much of study, this much of effort is very important.
थैंक यू सर. और आई थिंक ये एडवाइस सबसे ज्यादा लोगों को पसंद आई होगी.
Yeah, sure.
So this is again for you. According to you, what is the ideal time frame required to crack UPSC?
लोग करने वाले एक अटेम्प्ट में भी करते हैं, पर 5 साल पढ़ के भी करते हैं पहले अटेम्प्ट में. और there are people who crack it in the first attempt, studying for 1 year. So it depends upon the intellect of the person. Maybe a certain amount of luck is also associated with this process. I give a very good preference to luck also. Hard work is one thing, technique of the study is another thing, and luck is also very important part. So there's a method of studying for UPSC. There are thousands of books available in the market for studies, but you need to prefer a best book and revise that book again and again for number of times. So two things are very important, and if these things are followed, I guess the exam can be cracked in 1 or 2 years. One is the technique of study. That should be very, very proper. That should be very particular and excellent strategy. And second is possibly the luck also. It favors. I mean, those people whose luck favor, they crack the exam. So luck is a very important part.
Thank you, sir.
Would anyone like to add any point? Okay, so this is the last question for the evening. I think this question is I would like to ask this question to you, Tina. Behind every topper, there are people who stood by them during those uncertain times when you were merely an aspirant. Would you like to tell us who are those people in your case? Any specific incident would you like to share with us?
Well, I've spoken about this a lot. It's my mother who stood behind me all this while, and it's because of her that I am here today. She resigned from her own class 1 job so that she could make my own dreams and my ambitions. So I owe my success to her, and it's her who was always the huge support base behind me, because I know all aspirants over here would agree with me when I say that every second or third day, we feel very demotivated, we feel very depressed, we have this attitude of humse na ho paega. And to convert that humse na ho paega into humse sab ho jayega, I think it was my mother who used to keep motivating me and boosting up my spirits, reminding me that I'm a good student, I'm working hard, I'm sincere, I'm dedicated, and so I deserve to get selected. So it was that support base which kept me going throughout the whole UPSC, the grueling UPSC journey. So she's my inspiration, she's my role model, and it's because of her that I'm here today.
Okay. Jitesh sir, I would like you to add something. I mean, I would like to know from you, who was your support system?
For me, actually, it's not much different. My mother, she is actually, she studied up to only 12th class, and that too in a village called Anzade in Jadgaon district. And but she was always, she had high ambitions for herself, but unfortunately, she could not get educated beyond that because she got married. So she saw that I should not be held back by our condition, and so she always pushed me to get to my limits that I could achieve. And she was actually the cushion. You know, there is always the bad cop, good cop thing going on. कोणीतरी फटके मारत असतो आणि कोणी मग मलम लावत असतो. तर वो तो हर घर में चलता है. So for me it was my mother who used to be the cushion by telling me. My father would push me and then she would say ki nahi nahi, you'll be able to do that. So in these years there was no special one, there was no date for me because I had limited time in my hand. I had to, like, my savings from my job were quickly getting diminished by each month I was paying my rent. So if I wouldn't do it, then I had to, like, get a job. So every now and then when I used to feel low, I had only one mobile, like Nokia Dabba phone, and I used to call home to one single number, that was to my mother, and I used to always feel afresh. Next morning, I used to get up with a renewed energy and go after it. That's all. Thank you.
I would now like to request Mr. D.P. Agarwal, sir, to say a few words.
Indeed, it's been a great listening. What each of them have said, nothing beyond can be said. They've talked about hard work. They've talked about inspiration. They've talked about preparation from best of the resources. They've talked about how to write an essay. They've understood how sometimes you use word crack UPSC, which I generally don't use these words. And they also mentioned about the interview. To sum up, I would say it is very crucial and critical that you understand your own limits. I'm saying not because these are individual officers now. I talk of a system. Understand that 9.5 lakh are looking for this exam, and I can only select 1,000 people per year. So while thousands come with flying colors, maybe another 10,000 are demotivated, not to be recovered ever. So it is important for all of you to have a dream to become a civil servant, but then first recognize that it is within you. Nobody can bring it within you. Then it is sure recipe that you are in those 9,50,000 people who are not get selected. And that's the most difficult aspect. So that's my first caution. And I'm not too sure, and that's not also the forum where I talk to these people, to know what was their own limits. No question of this nature has been put to them. Did they judge themselves that they have to be there? Like I liked the reactions he gave. You struggle for 4 years. If you are selected, fine. If you are not selected, what would have happened? Both to you, to parents, and where you want to go. That's my one of the biggest concern. The second point, let me make it. I always say it's more of a common sense examination. And I agree with her when she says that we are more informed. Why this question is coming? Did you realize? If you look in the dice, except 2 or 3, all of them are professional people. How many are engineers? More than half.
Yeah. Two doctors, you and her. Now you can imagine during their professional learning, they would have no opportunity to do things otherwise, which you are supposed to call for you. So I really see no clear linkages. What makes you to be motivated to suddenly become a civil servant? Now, this dream has never come to me. I'm an engineer, been happy all through, was an IIT faculty, also become chairman of the UPSC without being a civil servant. I'm not true sense a civil servant. Worked with the government of India as a civil servant, 4 years and done everything. The point I'm making that it is always not necessary that through the route of being a civil servant, you achieve the highest. You can achieve the highest through any route in which you are committed to. So please don't carry this message, each of you, that if it is not within you, this is the only method. I hope each of you must tell them that this is not the only method. The other thing which I keep on telling young students who come sometime to meet me, that this is also not the end of life. Whenever you have made effort, if you don't get this, maybe something other is better. Something better is waiting. Like for example, I said in my speech there, very brief speech, that there are politicians who are leaders of their right in the universities, while somebody is a topper, but he's a leader of a union. He is also a very successful man. He is currently a lawmaker, and you are also a successful person because you worked hard for 4 years to crack this exam. So for each of you, there is a cutout place. Recognize that. For example, if it is Narayan Murthy ji, which for a long, long time was almost an icon in this country, even today, he's not a civil servant. So there is a place for you to contribute wherever you want. Therefore, decide for yourself, is it the one attempt, the two attempt, or the three attempt, or four, which should be end of it. Otherwise, you go to an age, you reach an age of 30, 32, 33, where nothing to fall back. Let me also mention 2 points to you, which is a social change which has happened. Most of the people who are now coming into civil service, if you analyze them, they are coming more from hinterland, small towns, small cities. And these are people whose parents have a lot of aspirations. Please understand the context in which I am saying. If you find, for example, giving my own example, my son was never interested to become a bureaucrat. Maybe he has seen good life because I was already a professor in IIT. So there are people who have yet not seen a place how life can be good. Or does people around them talk of their achievements? So for them, it becomes one of the place to show that they're also very crucial and important in the decision making in this nation. If you go, for example, abroad and ask a question to a youth, 90% of them wouldn't say that they want a government job. And I said in the morning, 80% of the people here would say they want to do a government job. Please think it over. Each of you are going to be for 30, 35 years in government. So there's something which is social situation requires that you achieve a status where people listen to you. If there was another mechanism through which people can give weightage to you or your intelligence or your hard work, you will never come to this. If you recognize in the last 10 years, the number of first-time entrepreneurs in this country are very large. Did you recognize this number? If you count every year, the successful entrepreneurs are not less than thousands. in future is going to be, and if you look at even 7, 8, 9 schemes of the government of India, while require a lot of bureaucrats, require a lot of people who can do for themselves something unique, which can then give a larger space in life. So entrepreneurship is a future dream. I've been also given to understand by number of civil servants after 10 years. And if they are a little more pushed up, they want to do something. They come to a point and say, look, I cannot do because seniors don't listen to me. The lawmakers doesn't listen to me. So why do I stuck? So if you notice roughly, from each batch, 5 to 7 people leave jobs, including IAS, after 15 years of service. So the point is that, is this the end? So maybe today you are struggling to get into, but maybe tomorrow this is not your cup of tea. Today it's a challenge to you to qualify this examination. I'm very happy that all of you said that it had changed your ways of life. It should, because it's a self-study, which you never did in universities. It is a competition which is cutthroat. It's a competition in which you have to struggle for 1 mark each. Like in 10+2 exam, you all can be 99 percentile. But here, if you all are for 99 percentile, I have to still put you in a merit list. So it is this number which is putting a pressure. It's nothing beyond that. So you have to be one of those thousands is the hardest on you. The other hard fact of it, that this is a very common examination. It is not a specialization in mechanical, it's not specialization in political science. She's a political science student. Maybe in an interview she's asked a question purely on technology. Maybe it's not her day. Maybe somebody is not a day when somebody studies history and talks about what Maharana Pratap did or what Julius Caesar did, or maybe it's not your day. And therefore, I would agree with him when he said that partly it's also luck. It's the hard work, your knowledge based, whatever you might say of preparation, but nothing beats if your knowledge base is strong. I fail to understand that you have given prelim exam, you have given main exams, then you are still to prepare separately for interview. I cannot understand it. What have you not read? Tell me. In this disproportionate view on the subject you take, how many marks it is? And what are the other put together? Even if I forget, I tend to say in life what works is 80-20 rule. Even if you don't do 100% of syllabus, do you think you have a chance to succeed? I say 100% chance of success. If out of 80%, 60% done 100% correct, you have a chance to succeed. It is to be within you, your confidence level, that those 60%, nobody can take out of you. You can always do it, whether you are sleeping, whether you are waking up, whether you are tired, you will always be there. It's only that cap up of 20% on those 80% that it makes. I also give you last advice that don't try to prepare in the last day. Don't ever do that. Preparation in the last moment does not add value. It adds confusion. Don't look at other friends that if he knows 3 things better than you, which you don't know, that he would be successful, you will not. This is not correct. What you know, presented best, is your success story. What you know, not presented well, is your failure. Nothing beyond that. I think they can vouch for that. On that day, they have to say things correctly, rightly, in their best opinion. When you come out of exam, you know for sure, and don't befool me, that have you done right to be successful? It has never happened in my life that when I appeared in exam or an interview, that I didn't know whether I go to success or not success. I taught for 30 years in IIT, in elsewhere. After each of my lecture, each of my topic, I'll go back to my room, put my hand here, and say whether I was successful today. The answer would come clearly whether I'm right or wrong. If I listen my inner voice, I'm very clear that I will be successful. I close by saying, once I appeared for an interview for a laboratory directorship. After an hour of interview, with a very tough fight with 5 gentlemen sitting across, almost on blows, I was sure that I will be selected. And I was selected. Get that confidence in you. If you don't have that confidence in you, please live in between. Find out greener pastures. And there the life is waiting for you. Friends, I wish you all very best. And I was so happy that each of my young friends who has qualified this exam for 15 in UPSC are so articulate that if I would have written myself this exam ever, which I never did, I couldn't have done better than them. I wish them all the luck. I wish them all very best. Challenges would be there for them much more than what you are. They have to face public, they have to face press, they have to face their bosses. And it is not an easy balance to maintain. I remember of a young collector. When I was Gwalior, first director of first trip light in this country, this young person would always be on the airport. Because one person or other keep coming to Gwalior because Prime Minister came from there. If Prime Minister was from there, CM would be there, 3 ministers would be there, and this gentleman would be there. Look at the neglect you do to the family. And I wish, please take care of your families. Don't neglect them. Many of your children will never become bureaucrats because they wouldn't like to be. They have seen you working 12 hours, 24 hours for yourself, not for them. Please take care of that. Family is equally important as your own career. After all, you do it for nation, for your family, for your children. That's the end of the life. I wish you all very best and thank you. Wish you very best.
Thank you, sir. It was a great pleasure talking to all of you. We wish you all the best. I would request everybody to please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा